Why drain the magma? So, Samuel, in Dwarf Fortress, there is no predetermined goal, aside from dig and make stuff, right? I'm digging and making things. When you play a game like this, at a point, at least for me, you get to a level of you just do things because you can to say that you did, and that's why I'm doing this. Why? Because it's cool, and because I can, and because I need a project, because I've played this game for too long. And because I played this game for too long, 1, 2, 3, 4, it's very difficult to do. It's not interesting to do the same thing over and over and over again. So I do something that I haven't done either in a really long time or before. And why not? It's there and I can, so why not? What's up, Dip? Accidentally murdering your own dwarves before they leave. I always love that when that happens. Make a fishing only fort? You can't make alcohol out of fish, though. Also, that's so mind-numbingly easy. Hunting would be a challenge. But food sources only coming from fish is like so boring. No, fuck that. There's no challenge there. I don't fish because it's easy. And it fills my forts up with like infinite materials that I don't want. Because shells are an awful material to make stuff out of. Because it's just super low value and kind of crap. So I don't see the... Aside from that, like, I make a big deal about not using stuff, but you need to realize why I don't use fishing stuff. It's because it sucks. Not because it's, like, hard or anything. There's no challenge there. Anyway. Yeah, but as YouTube chat is suggesting all these different ideas now, it's like, why do you do anything in Dwarf Fortress? Well, it's to say that you did. This is a game about building up your own personal bragging rights. You'd fish everything up? It depends on where you are. The caverns won't run out. Rivers won't run out. Ponds will. But 50 years is too fucking long for a fort, man. I've put like 100 hours into this fort, and I've only been in it for 12. Can you make a fish farm? Not one that replenishes. But if the map replenishes from the edge of the map, you can. How safe is this fort? From goblins, pretty safe. Because I haven't gone after them at all. From the caverns? There's been a couple of forgotten beasts that have come in from the caverns because I've left a few things open that could have ended the fort. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not trying to make it particularly dangerous or anything. The last 2 forts I've done have been, like, pretty rough in the, like, danger level. This fort is pretty safe for the most part. Although most of my forts are pretty safe for the most part because it's pretty difficult for me to actually make a fort that's dangerous. I think all of the biggest threats to this fortress have been my own laziness. Honestly, this fort for me right now is mostly just killing time. Waiting. And the thing that I'm waiting for is I'm waiting for the next patch. Really. Your biggest enjoyment is making books? Yeah, there you go. There's a instrument I've made a bunch of in this fort that only has 2 pieces needed. No, absolutely. I mean, there's one of the skills in Dwarf Fortress is finding challenges for yourself. I'm not a human. There's a page on the wiki called Playstyle Challenge, which I recommend you take a look at. Jack could probably link it if I don't grab it first. But it's Playstyle Challenge, and essentially what it is it's just a bunch of player-designated end goals. Some of them are harder to complete now than others because some of them kind of require older versions of the game, or older mechanics. Some of them also require DF hacks, so do keep that in mind. But it's basically just a bunch of themed playthroughs that are actually more of a challenge. Yeah, so I don't know. If I'm fishing and like it's just salmon and sole and like trout and stuff, then sure. But the second it's like pond turtles and mussels, I'm like, fuck this shit. But yeah, I could make this fort more dangerous if I wanted to. But honestly, I think I've killed enough of my own dwarves with my construction failures. So that is the main source of danger currently, is my own oops, or oh god, or ah, kind of things. Because it doesn't matter how much time you spend playing this game, you'll fuck up, as I do all the goddamn time. Something else I've been thinking about taking part in, because it's summertime, is my Discord has had a community game running for a while. I've been kind of curious about this idea. This is something that would be pretty tricky actually to organize. Is if we found like 2 or 3 groups of 4 people who were interested in playing a group fortress, so like a succession fort. And every week I start a succession fort for like 3 weeks, and then once a week return to all of those succession forts, or once a week return to one of them, and do little succession fort playthroughs. That might be some way that we could bring some more community interaction back into the channel, without me having to, you know, go out of my way to use other people's content like we did with the community forts for a while there. Just something to think about if that's something that you'd be interested in. I don't know, join the Discord. Because I am getting more interested in doing something like that. It's been a while since I've done any kind of succession games. Got kobolds attacking. And cheers, Toadstool. When I was a little kid, I was very confused as to why toads got stools. I guess people have chairs, you know. You finally remembered to catch me? Did you bring a net? I'll have you know, I oiled myself this morning. You just started Waterlungs? Damn, that's a long time ago. If you want more VODs, they're all on the VODs channel, which is at Blind Extras now. I stopped uploading VODs to the main channel a long time back, but... You really enjoyed the community forts? Yeah, I've been, like, grilling my brain of how we could do that again, or bring that back somehow. Yeah, no, totally. I mean, it's actually kind of wild to me how many people subscribe to the VODs channel at this point. Because, like, before Dwarf Fortress came out on Steam, that was basically all my channel was VODs. And I'm kind of amazed that the VOD channel has, like, 5,000 subscribers independently. Like, that's kind of crazy to me, actually. Like, it's really... I talk about this a lot, but it's really hard to quantify just how many people actually watch your stuff when you do stuff on YouTube or Twitch or anything. Like, the numbers don't feel real, and the platforms do a very good job making the numbers not feel real. So it's kind of crazy to actually see that many people subscribe to... You're watching through Creature Keepers? That was a cool fort. People have made about 24 multiplayer Dwarf Fortress mods over the years, and generally what happens, Toadstool, when people make them, is people try them and then realize that they suck, and that no, you don't actually want to play Dwarf Fortress in live multiplayer. You think you do, but it doesn't convert anywhere near as well, and the way that it's possible to make those mods work doesn't lead to gameplay that's really fun to play. And so usually what happens is a person makes it, plays it with their friends for a bit, realizes they don't like it, and then stops updating it. And this happens about every 3 to 5 years. I can think of about 4 that have appeared over the past several years. Dwarf Fortress really doesn't need a multiplayer mod. Just because RimWorld has something doesn't mean Dwarf Fortress should have it too. Just because something works in one style of game doesn't mean it'll work in another. And trust me, it really doesn't work. In fact, go to my YouTube channel and like look up the last one I looked at. Just type in Dwarf Fortress multiplayer mod, you'll find it. It's called DwarfNet, I think was that one. And it sucked. I don't recommend it at all. But King Ortho Cone with the Prime subscription. Jack, can I get a round of beers for the brand new Prime? Appreciate you, mate. The thing that I will say about Dwarf Fortress multiplayer, Dwarf Fortress doesn't need multiplayer. Dwarf Fortress needs an easier way of sharing save files. If we could put our save files on the workshop instead of having to use like what's the name of that silly platform? Dwarf Fortress File Depot. If we didn't have to use like Dwarf Fortress File Depot and instead could like use something a little bit more modern, I think that would be a much bigger benefit to the game than the alternatives. So elves won't buy leather or anything else, but they will buy silk stuff. So just try and sell them some gear. How many wax crafts currently? Why not? No. Also, Moreb wants a beardless dwarf. I completely missed that. Sorry, Moreb. If you're still here, I'm naming that now. Would you prefer a weaponsmith or a milker if you're still here? And please yell at me when I miss those. What about Caves of Cud multiplayer? Try playing a game where you control one character that's turn-based in multiplayer and not go nuts. I don't think... You know, I can't remember who said this originally, but this is not my original take. You'd like the milker? This isn't my take. This is somebody else's take. But good games don't need multiplayer, but bad games are good when they're multiplayer. And we're talking about good games here. They don't need multiplayer. And I think that if a game is designed ground up to not be a multiplayer experience, I don't think it's benefited by it. I think the only kind of multiplayer you could do in Caves of Cud would be something similar to like what Tome does, where you could trade items with people in a global chat if you happen to be in the same area, and like have a global chat where people can laugh at you when you die. Or like similar to like what like Dark Souls does, where you can like leave hints on the ground. That could be neat, but outside of that, no, it just bleh. The other thing that like you need to remember about like Dwarf Fortress and multiplayer as well, and this is something that Tarn is asked like every 36 hours as far as I can tell, which is, would you ever patch in co-op? And the thing that you need to remember is like Dwarf Fortress is a game that started being programmed in 2002. Like multiplayer has never been a consideration because it's entirely running on its own engine. It's like the amount of code rewrites. Like there's a portion of the Dwarf Fortress community that's very irritated that Tarn keeps working on more art, like sprites for the game, and taking time to put more art in the game, and remade all the UI. Like there's a portion of the community that's irritated about that. They would literally need to rewrite the whole game. Like it would be like 5-10 plus years to write netcode for this game, and I don't necessarily think it would be worth it at all, especially having played mods that just like it sucks. It's not worth it. It's not worth your time. You also need to host a server usually. Usually what it actually is you're just like, the way those mods usually work is you host the game on a server with screen sharing, essentially, and then you all just control the server simultaneously is usually how those mods end up working. And yeah, it fucking sucks. So Moreb, the milker, is very greedy and lives at a high energy kinetic pace. She can be very happy and optimistic, and she tends to not reveal personal information. She takes offered help and gifts without feeling particularly grateful, and she doesn't often feel envious of others. She is not particularly curious about the world, and she is somewhat fearful in the face of imminent danger. She generally acts with a narrow focus on the current activity and occasionally overindulges. She tends to be swayed by emotional appeal. It tends to not be swayed by emotional appeals, and she likes working outdoors and grumbles only mildly at bad weather. She personally values romance and doesn't particularly value merrymaking, and dreams of creating a great work of art. She likes nickel silver and shell opal, as well as the color light brown, scepters and pigs for their snorts, and copperhead snakes for their attractive scale patterns, and the words of the silken watchful amethyst, and the sound of the cobalt boulders, and the sight of the velvet meadows, and when possible prefers to consume mink, and single grain wheat beer, and absolutely hates cave spiders. She is corpulent and has greasy hair. Or, sorry, sparse hair. Not greasy. I don't know where I got the word greasy from there. She has no family in the fort, 76 years old, is a member of the Bronze Sect, worshipping the god of gems, and wants to acquire an object. Welcome to the fort. And you're greedy, what could go wrong? You become a priest of the god of gems, would be my prediction. Although it's minerals and gems, so it's like ore and other things. I do like how far the game has come as a series. A series of orb-related ports was a treat. We still have that Ponder Orb emote from that. That was a fun era. We're in an ad break, so we'll pause the game. An artifact ring made of a gem. Yeah, I mean that's a thing that's planned, Caesardes. Like all those things are planned, right? I hope it comes sooner than later. I'll put it that way. I don't know if I necessarily want demons randomly showing up in your fort for wrestling tournaments. Because I feel like that would kind of like take me out of it a little bit. Because I feel like if a demon shows up at your fort, they should just murder everybody. And if they just show up for sport, that would be a little odd. I would like to see the tournaments make their way in, though. Same with the tavern games and all that. But, you know, we're back in that era. Tarn is working on stuff, so. Ideally, we'll be back in the era of, like, a pretty consequential patch every 6 months. Which, you know, I mean, at this point, what? RimWorld updates once every 2 years and they charge you $30 for it? At least, you know, I'd take a major update once a year that I don't get charged for. I'm totally cool with that. With the sporadic, consistent, smaller updates. Especially as Putnam works her way through the experimental stuff that she's currently working on with all of the Lua rewrites, because that'll speed stuff up as well. You know, it's just, we're in the process of re-acceleration instead of, like, waiting for ages between major content shifts. A crab dwarf. Crabs don't exist in the format of dwarves. Crabs are crabs and dwarves are dwarves. So redeem something that doesn't exist. I would just look at you funny and then give you a door or a bed. It has to exist. How would I interpret that? I wouldn't. I would be like, that doesn't exist, and then give you something that's not that. Or ask you to pick something else, or just give you something that's not that. Because I'm not humorless, but if you ask for something that just straight up doesn't exist in the game, I will be like, yeah, okay, whatever. I'll give you something that's not that. Let's go with fruits and veggies and bayberries. And we'll grab those grown barrels. Why not? The elves are thankful for my business. A pet lava crab? I don't have any pet lava crabs. Can you even, are lava crabs even tameable? I don't think you can tame lava crabs. But did you read what I said? You said, if I asked for a crab dwarf, how would I interpret that? I wouldn't. I would give you something that isn't a crab. So clearly you didn't, because you're reiterating. I would give you a duck. I have dwarves, and there are crabs on the map. But yeah, chat, can someone confirm for me? Can you even tame lava crabs? Because I want to say I've tried doing that before, and you can't. I'm like 99% certain you can. Like, you can train them, I think. Actually, I don't think I have any ducks in this fort right now. I do have geese, though. Although I think the one goose that I got recently was named, so I don't know if I have any unnamed geese. But I don't know. You got to redeem it. This is a conversation to have when you redeem it. So when you redeem it, we'll talk. Also, hi, Kilda Style. How are you? They're not extremely dangerous. Snatcher, hardcore in YouTube chat. In regards to magma crabs, they have limited shots, so they have very limited ammunition. Once they run out of ammunition, they are like weak, like like a non-concern. So just simply. I have an artifact that's starting. All you need to do when it comes to magma crabs is just wait for them to run out of lava, and then they cease being an issue. Yeah, but pet value also includes things that are kept inside of what's the word? Pet value includes things that are in cages, and you can catch them. So that's the value of the cage, is the way that's calculated. So if I put a non-trainable animal in a cage, it still technically has a pet value. Goblins have a pet value.
King_Orthicone cheered. X100. Thank you for entertaining my nonsense. You've provided me dozens and dozens of hours content so far.
I will say, if I had giant, because you're clearly talking about, because you were watching Waterlungs, right? If I had giant crabs in this fort, absolutely I would give you a crab if you wanted one. I mean, hell, we named one in that fort, if I recall correctly. So, yeah, I mean, if that was an option, but in this fort, I would just be like, shrug, and then just give you something else. Maybe a statue. I could give you a statue of a dwarf and a crab. That'd be close. But the naming thing is a within reason thing. I also don't have any crabmen. If I had a crabman, that would fit. But I don't have any crabmen. And thank you for the $1 and the sub. Appreciate you, mate. I'm glad that you found joy from my work. But, I don't know. If you watch that fortress with the giant crabs, which was Waterlungs, I'd be a little bit surprised that they were on your list, because that was maybe the worst mistake I made in that fort, was trying to domesticate giant crabs. Also, I've got an artifact being made over here. It's using a bunch of dog leather, rough crystal opals, hemp cloth, cabochons, round corals, and jet, and 2 pieces of gabbro. Hopefully they make us something pretty. This dwarf is pretty strong. I don't think there's were crabs. I've never seen one. There is a list of all the were creatures on the wiki, and I probably should just have that on hotkey and just memorize them, but no, I don't think so. If they exist, I've never seen one. Chat, are there any aquatic were animals? Because there isn't a were squid or anything. Or a weretopus. Which is a funny sentence to say out loud. A were anglerfish? A wanglerfish? I need this cleared. Literally right there. Literally right there. That's all I need. This eye. Kubak the Surgeon has created Shak Thakur, a jet amulet, and offers it to the enjoyable knowledge. Enjoyable's all the knowledge. This is a jet amulet. Well, that's a valuable jet amulet. All craftsmanship is of the highest quality. It's decorated with dog leather and encircled with bands of rectangular gabbro cabochons. It is and tapered cut baguette crystal opals and hemp. This object is adorned with hanging rings of gabbro and crystal opal and dog leather, and menaces with spikes of jet. On the item is an image of a rose-cut gems. And on the item is an image of hardwheat in dog leather. I'm going to give this to the Chief Medical Dwarf, because I don't think the Chief Medical Dwarf actually has an item assigned to them. Who's currently sleeping. Good old Sunnybridge. Yeah, oh, that's not a... Okay, tortoises aren't aquatic. Turtles are aquatic. First off. Skinks aren't aquatic. I think you mean a land shark. Is there a werewalrus? Hold on, let me just open up the wiki. Give me a second. Oh, 404 not found. Great. Chat, is the DF wiki down? Okay, well, it's not down. It's just the main page that's down, it seems. Werebeast. All right. So, the full list of webeasts, wee sweet beasties, are were chameleon, were gecko, were Gila monster, were monitor, were lizard, were iguana, were skink, were tortoise, and were turtle. Oh, there is a were turtle. Okay. Were capine, were koala, were cody, were anteater, were antelope, were coyote, were lemur, were rabbit, were raccoon, were llama, were deer, were ape. I need to say that one very carefully. Were armadillo, were donkey, were loris, were rat, were rhinoceros, were mammoth, were elephant, were badger, were bear, their bear, were Canadian, were marmot, were sheep, were shrew? I've never seen a were shrew, I don't think. Were mole, were fox, were bear, were bison, I've never seen that one. Were giraffe, were mongoose, were skunk, were sloth, were monkey, their monkey, were goat, were buffalo, were bull, were gopher, were other Canadian, were squirrel, were tapir, were mouse, were hare, might be the hardest one to say. Were camel, were capybara, were afro, were possum, were warthog, were weasel, were panda, were horse, were cat. Were cat? What? Those exist? Okay. Were horse, were panda, I already read that. Were cavy, were hyena, were pangolin, were wolf, were wombat, were zebra, were pig, were panther, were jackal, were kangaroo, were civet, and were chinchilla. We have elk. Lots of elk. I don't know. I associate elk with camping in the wilderness out here because I just hear screaming at night and it scares the shit out of me. They terrify me. Were chinchilla? Were chinchillas fear his dust. I've never seen the were bison. Anyway, today I learned that were cats exist. So, yeah. I mean, there's one of the funniest things in the game is zombie chinchillas, in my opinion. Okay, chat, I have a question. What's better, the were porcupine or the were hedgehog? Because I think the were hedgehog might be the best sprite. I mean, that's just a were afro. You know what we need to do? We need to do a were creature sprite tier list. That would be some good schlop content. One million views. Ay. Me getting 1 million views on anything is like... I mean, maybe Godly Tombs at some point, but... Antronak! Or not... one of these days, I think I'll say your name correctly. Were you playing Roller Coaster Tycoon? Or were you something else today? Thank you very much for the raid. What's up, dude? And that would, okay, so the idea of schlop content is that it takes no effort to make and gets a lot of views. That, making it into a tournament, would take a lot of effort to make and probably still get the same number of views. But then it's no longer schlop content if I put effort into it. That is the whole point of schlop content, is you put zero effort into it and people watch it anyways because they're suckers and that's how you make the monies on the YouTubes. Was totally RCTing? Ah, how was the Richting? Was it good? Did you have a good time? Thank you much for the raid, seriously. Jack, can I get a round of beers for the Raiders and mods? Can I get a shout out for ATN? Otherwise, I'll do it in a sec. I think it's just Elfie, and I think Elfie's AFK, so here. There you go. Thank you much. For the good old-fashioned raidery-do. Did it work? Were you successful? In your gayifying? Gayification? I give up now? Nothing about that sentence felt right. Got 20 days until you find out you fail. What? I'm too straight to do that, so never, probably. I mean, you can.
And somehow I
Antronac,
didn't have this.
thank you very much for the 36 months. Appreciate you. Welcome back. I'll say this, me doing like rainbow things for Pride Month, I'll do like the occasional little flag for people if they ask me nicely. But that's kind of like, you know how when big corporations are like, how do you do, fellow gays? Buy my product because I support you. Is very much the vibe that would happen if I were to do something like that. Because if I were to do something like that, it would just be like me aping on somebody else's thing, if that makes any sense. And I ain't doing that. Just seems disingenuous, I don't know. And also, it's my birthday month, June. And it's kind of like how my dad gets mildly annoyed that 420 is on his birthday month, and everybody's celebrating something completely unrelated. You're like, God damn it, it's my birthday. It's kind of how I feel about Pride Month to a degree, where it's like, well, it's a good thing. It needs to happen, right? But at the same time, I'm going to be childishly annoyed that it's on my birthday. Finally, I can get this power up and running again. Actually, I wonder, could I do it this way? Probably can. Yes, I can. Grumble. Also, chat, can I get a round of beers for ATN, keeping that sub alive for 36 months? Just post my beer emote or the beers emoji. I have a bunch of media corporations, all with logos, like Wayland, Utah. That's funny. Yeah, no, I certainly.
King_Orthicone cheered.
Although I will say, there's been a number of times where me and one of my dude friends have gone out for lunch or something on my birthday, and we've gotten like free desserts. There was one time me and my friend Kevin went to the pub and just got burgers and beers on my birthday. We were just sitting there chatting, and then like we got a free dessert each, and this lady's just like, it's for the month of Pride, we're giving away free desserts to couples. And it's like, and then we paid for the bills separately, and I wonder how she felt. It was very funny. All right. The Forgotten Beast Britha Kavemekate has a gigantic hairy hornet. Kill it with fire. It has a curling trunk and it appears to be emaciated. Its hair is patchy. Beware its poison sting. Kill it with fire. I love how most of the Forgotten Beasts keep appearing on this particular layer. This one can probably get into the fort. Also, Telenartho, thank you very much for tuning in today. How are you, dude? It's good to see you. You decided you wanted an easy leaderboard. I mean, the bits leaderboard has been very easy in my chat. Usually. The subs leaderboard, a little bit harder. Although the easiest one is the clips leaderboard, because that's free. You just need to clip something and get it to get some views. So just like, you know, refresh the clips leaderboard a bunch. Yeah, that always is fun when you get just like a world gen that just generates unkillable monstrosities. I'll take your crab bucks. I don't know what this means, but... I mean, that's usually what YouTube chat does, is they, when they do super chats, they pick a currency that has very little value. And then only tip in that currency. And then jump up and down. For accolades. Not everybody in YouTube chat does that, but it does kind of make me eye roll a little bit. Because then it's pinned to the top of the chat for like 18 hours, and it cost like them 12 cents or whatever. You're all about the arthropods? Ah, it would be like the guy with the dino-themed username in chat being all about the dino bucks. So this right here should turn this on. I should have done this before. I only just thought of it, to be honest. Which I feel kind of stupid, but at the very least, one of these is now up. But it is draining this quite quickly. No, we won't. No, we won't. We will die. You will not return to crab, I'm sorry. You will die and maybe, like, components of your flesh and DNA may apparate itself into a crab. But no, we will not all return to crab. We will die. We will expire. Maybe our species could evolve into crab, but no, we will die, unfortunately. Or fortunately, depending on your perspective and or point of view. Sorry for the bad news, but... Best of luck with your attempt, ATN. Let me know how it goes. Don't forget to clench. Also, I just realized I screwed this up pretty dramatically. Great. I feel like a lobster would be very offended if you called it that and it heard you. I'll have you know that lobsters are a unique and independent, beautiful species and shouldn't be lumped in with such prehistoric monstrosities like crabs. I am offended on behalf of all lobsters. This is a travesty. Named Travis, in fact. It's almost as terrifying as a travesty. I made that joke before you did, Darius. I said it before you typed it into chat and pressed enter. Or at least before it popped up on my screen, I swear. I am a unique joke maker, and I come up with original joke. Do not steal. Gosh darn it. Can't have any uniqueness in this world. Maybe nature is the monster. Magma crabs killed my family. So rocks killed your family? Magma crabs are just like rocks that spit lava. But they can only spit 2 or 3 rocks. Actually, what that really means, sorry to be mean, your family has really bad dodge stats. Because if a dwarf is even remotely decent at dodging, the magma crab will never hit it. Like, a dwarf has to basically be, like, as bad as they can possibly be at dodging to actually get hit by a magma crab. Your family should have trained in wrestling, is what I'm really saying. But dodging into lava is worse than being hit? Uh-oh. Ah! Remember how I said that that Forgotten Beast could actually make it into the fort? Well, it did. It seems that 2 dwarves have now died. Soon to be a 3rd. Soon to be a 4th, one of my doctors. But they were able to punch it to death, which is actually quite impressive. So rest in peace, Dishmab and Ast. Although we're probably also going to lose this dwarf. Oh no, you can breathe. How about you? So can you. Did either of you get credited for the kill? Who got credited with the kill? Did you get credited with the kill? No. Who got the last hit? The Glazer. Speaking of original joke, this dwarf is now Sting. Because this dwarf killed that Forgotten Beast by punching it in the thorax, which caused its thorax to collapse. Wait, which search function? Sorry, I cycle through menus pretty quickly. Chat, when was this added to the game down here? Like maybe a year ago? Or more? Putnam added it. Same with like the search function for this screen. Right here. So no, it's been a while. I wouldn't say sneakily. It was like the top feature of a new patch that came out. So I don't know if I would say sneakily, but oh man, it was a child. And then the other one was Dishmab. Oh, fish cleaner. Well, nothing of value was lost. The other thing I need to do is go over to here and just double check something. Quit putting dwarf corpses into there. Look at when Waterlungs was uploaded. I couldn't even tell you that off the top of my head. When was Waterlungs uploaded? This is why I tell people to just start watching a recent playthrough and not an old one. Waterlungs was uploaded February 16th, 2023. Sure. But if you're watching old playthroughs and then suddenly surprised that a feature exists in a later version of the game, it's almost like game's update. I will say though, Sunbirths is a really cool older playthrough. If you like that kind of biome, Sunbirths just had a really cool ending because Sunbirths we dug too deeply and too greedily. And for those of you who don't remember, there are regular lobsters in DF. They're just in the ocean, Bismuth. Sunbirths was just in the middle of like a glacier, but when I dug too deeply and too greedily, a lot of the demons were made of fire, and they just flew directly through the floors and caused parts of it to fall apart. It was cool. The Forgotten Beast Pest Rat. Imi has come. An enormous blob composed of salt. It's like Twitch chat, IRL. It has a square shell and it squirms and fidgets. And it also can't get to me. It's also extremely weak. A troll or a Crundle is going to slap it and it'll die. So that one's a non-concern. True. Don't attach numbers to Dwarf Fortress. That removes all of the mystery and fun. It's an Untamed Wilds, Untamed Wilds. Or rather, evil Untamed Wilds biome. Or, you know, I have that video on the main channel called I Let Dwarves Ghosts Destroy My Fortress or whatever. That video is a terrifying Untamed Wilds map too. And it's like, you know, actually cut together instead of just a stream. I put effort into that video. Worst difficulty biomes? I think if you're looking at Dwarf Fortress purely from a difficulty perspective, you're missing the point, and also you need to realize that Dwarf Fortress can be extremely fucking hard. But you yourself have to seek out those locations. I think that just arbitrarily cranking up a number incentivizes that as a main playthrough style. And I think that difficulty is Dwarf Fortress's worst aspect. I don't actually think that would help the game be any better. Because the worst thing that RimWorld does is it incentivizes turning the difficulty up. And for people like me, that makes the game worse. I don't actually think that you are asking or wanting things that would make the game better in any way, personally. Otherwise, just fucking turn your difficulty up. Like world gen settings. Increase the amount of haunted areas, increase the amount of haunted secrets, let World Gen run longer so that you have more were creatures and necromancers and all that nonsense. Yeah, like you can make the game really fucking hard if you want to. We don't need harder biomes. Because like I don't really, basically like if you learn a little bit more about how World Gen works, if the only thing you are seeking out with Dwarf Fortress is difficulty, I would almost say play a different game at points. It's more hypothetical, I think, because you don't necessarily realize what you're asking for, and you also don't necessarily realize that I think what you're asking for is already there. It's just a matter of knowing how to find it. So I think what you're asking for is already there, part one. And part two, I think you just need to know how to access it. Well, I think that's the thing, Eidos, is like they can be difficult, but if they're too difficult, then the game isn't fun. Like, Dwarf Fortress is a... There you go, Top Clipper killed with style. Dwarf Fortress is a game about role-playing with yourself and creating a narrative, right? Difficulty can aid with that, certainly. But I have more fun in calm biomes, usually, than I do in, like, biomes that are mean to the player. I don't think being mean to the player as a default state is a good way to incentivize storytelling at all, personally. Then the other thing I got to do is over here. This can go away. Like, think about, like, I think an important thing to remember as well is that Dwarf Fortress has a tutorial, right? But the tutorial is also famous for plopping the player in locations that just, like, kill them in the first 72 hours. And I think that's something that you need to remember. What the fuck killed you? I think that's something that you need to remember. Because you settle somewhere, you could immediately die if you settle in the wrong place. I think that a lot of the interest in this comes from just knowing how to acquire that, if that's what you seek. So I don't really have too much more to say about it, but no, I don't think the world needs harder biomes. I think the world gen needs what Tarn is intending to do, which is rewriting a lot of it and making it more varied and different from world to world. I think that Dwarf Fortresses need more things that are different, not things that are just intentionally mean to the player. Being mean to the player is how you stop people like me from playing the video game. I really like Dwarf Fortress, and I've really liked it for a long time. But one of the reasons I really like it is because it's contortable. I can do what I want with it. We are getting new sieges, so sieges are going to be changed pretty dramatically, and that'll probably make the game harder in some aspects. But just making the game mean, I don't think is a good thing for a lot of games. I think that it's very easy to difficulty chase as a game developer, and I think there's parts of every game playing audience that want that and seek that. Just make the game harder, you know? But I often think that is kind of a fool's errand, just making the game harder. So. I would say that your analogies make no sense, King. Yeah, I'm looking forward to see what sieges actually turn into. Yeah, exactly. Make it wider. Make it deeper. Make it wider. Don't make it harder. It was Jet, and it was Jet as well. Oh, cheers, dude. Jet's a cool material. It's also a cool color. Well, depending on who you ask, everybody's a black market snatcher in YouTube chat. The dwarves are a black market because they sell things that would be contraband for the elves. The humans are a black market because they sell things that are contraband to the elves. The elves are black market because, or often buy things from black markets because not all elves agree with the elves' agenda. So elves buying anything from you that are not part of an elven faction are technically shopping in a black market. So I think like there's black market vendors everywhere. Or you just going up to a random bandit group and trading with them would be trading with the black market. So I don't know. Sounds like a fun project, King Orthoclase, or Orthocombe. I keep thinking that your name is Orthoclase, but... no, they don't. That hasn't been a thing for quite some time. I made a fort once where I only imported elven grown wood and then crafted that into things and sold it back to them. Unless they broke that since then, but that was within the last 3 years. That's literally anybody that you trade with, though. If if they have an item that they have access to, you can request it and they will bring it. You want very gamey mechanics. I would be cool with there being more merchants that sell weirder, more eccentric things. But there has to be a reason for that. Like, that doesn't need to exist right now because you can request anything from any faction that you have the ability to request stuff from. Stuff from. YouTube chat is talking about wanting a black market dealer or something. It's like, I mean, I'd be cool. I'd be okay with like a wider economy and like being able to trade with the nomadic tribes and stuff that already exist. I don't really see a purpose in like there being a dude with crazy prices where you can request anything from, because like you can request anything from anybody already. That's very funny. The kobold language is hysterical, truly. If I'm given the choice, I really like quartzite. I like jet. I like variation. So like I don't like a fort where I'm kind of stuck using only one color. I like to have like an options between several different colors. That's basically it. Your cat says hi. Say hi to Kitty. Give him pets for me, please. Thank you. Yep. Here we go. So that'll now flow off the map. And we can slowly start draining all of this. That would be slavery. Cracker Snatcher, go play RimWorld. I have to do a, actually. So there's this page on the wiki that I love. And it's called Ethics. Okay. You need to realize that you are playing within pretty strict structures for each faction. If you need to buy citizens, you fucked up. Apparently the siege update's going to give us something to do with prisoners, supposedly. But if you actually look at this, dwarves consider slavery capital punishment. So buying citizens would require the king to give the order to the entirety of your fortress to kill whoever bought it and then release the slave. However, elves think that it's worth exiling. Humans, oops, no, wait, that's slaves. Humans think that it's acceptable. Goblins, it's a personal matter, and to kobolds, it's unthinkable. So for dwarves, that's capital punishment. It's one of the few things that will actually get you executed. So no, you shouldn't be able to buy citizens. What they should do is make humans playable, or goblins playable, with unique mechanics that are unique to them that make them worth playing, as a starting faction, and give them mechanics built around that. That's what they should do, which is the actual plan. But that won't happen for like a decade. And if you actually have to fucking buy slaves, then you are so bad at this game that you shouldn't ask for them. Like, why in the world do you need to purchase citizens? Like, who actually playing Dwarf Fortress is short on fucking citizens? Like, how horrible are you at this game that you need to purchase more people? I got people falling out of my ears on an average day. What, like in adventure mode? Yeah, no, I think farming is something that I would love to see worked on. I completely agree with that. There was somebody who complained that bronze colossuses were too weak in my chat, King. And so they installed a mod that made them out of steel. And let's just say it didn't end well. He also then made them extremely common. And all of those dwarves died. I didn't have a pet Bronzy. I had one that was imprisoned. Pet implies that it's tame. Something that is trapped, that you release to go fight with the enemy when they show up, does not equal a pet. A pet would require them to show up in this screen. That's not a pet. That's a prisoner that you release whenever the enemies show up. But yes, I remember Bronzy. I've done that many times. Yes, well... You can pet the bronze colossus once, yeah. Maybe in your culture, not in mine. Cats make delicious soup in my culture. Or more likely biscuits. Except for the name ones. They only make delicious soup after their owner dies. Otherwise the owner gets sad, which would be unfortunate. The delicious soup, on the other hand, very fortunate. Here, let me sandwich for you, Bone Doll.
Sandwich!
It seems like a waste of consumables. I personally don't think any clothing resources being thrown out is a waste of, like, consumables because of the, like, ridiculously over... Like, because of the ridiculously absurd amount of, like, consumables, if you will, I have in every fort. There's, like, literally no reason to even worry about, you know, wasting them, per se. Ball pit of chinchillas? Just start taming chinchillas. I presume you mean giant chinchillas, not normal chinchillas, but just start taming them. Yeah, just tame them then. Just go find some giant chinchillas. They're pretty common. Oh, wow. Here comes the water. At least this will drain out pretty quickly. Hopefully nobody falls in there and drowns. But we'll see. Yeah, this ain't too bad. Okay. Nobody's drowned yet. Whoop, there goes somebody. Gosh darn it. Sting, why'd you do that? Sting, damn it. You should be able to climb out, but you're going to drown first, aren't you? Oop. Not dead yet. Sting, go up. Up, Sting, not down, Sting. Wait, hold on. Was that dwarf's last name Elder Ring? Hold on. I need to check some. I need to know. Was Sting's last name Elder Ring? It was Elder Ring. I don't know why I find this really amusing, but I do. Hey, YouTube folks, don't forget to leave a like on the stream. Yep, rip Sting. We'll get him out in a minute, once this drains. It'll drain pretty quick. It'll drain pretty quick, is the good news. I've never seen House, but House had stubble, so I'll go with a dwarf with beard. Dr. House has a very calm demeanor, is very impolite and inconsiderate of property, is bashful, prefers to present himself modestly, doesn't often experience strong cravings or urges, and is passive in discussions, has a tendency towards forming deep and emotional bonds with others, and tends to ask others for help with difficult decisions, sometimes acts with little determination and confidence, and often acts with compassion, has a greedy streak, and has a noticeable lack of perseverance. He talks to inanimate objects when he's trying to remember something and needs alcohol to get through the working day. And dreams of work, he does not mind being outdoors, at least for a time, and doesn't really care about anything anymore. He dreams of crafting a masterwork someday and personally believes that peace is preferable to war. Finds a pursuit of skill mastery off-putting and finds blind honesty foolish. And dreams of creating a masterwork someday. Likes gabbro, brass, and clara opal. Sheep's wool and the color top gray. Bolts and cod for their fins, and red bean vines for their pods, and the sound of the tressed lilac, and when possible prefers to consume kangaroo cheese and longland beer, and bumblebee honey, and absolutely hates jumping spiders. And welcome to the fort. Dr. House. I don't know anything about House, so if you reference anything in House, I will probably miss it, because I've never actually seen it. These in a bit, not yet, but soon. Amongst everything else. Oh. That's a fun tube, I didn't even realize this. We are draining the lava sea. So this is mass drainage for the lava sea specifically. And also drainage here, but this may or may not be powered in the future. I'm not sure at the moment. And Lanix wants you to post beers. That is a episode of the Magic School Bus. I wonder which one came first. Man going orange because of carrots? But that was an episode of the Magic School Bus. That was a show I did watch a lot of at one point in my life. Do I still have an issue with it? I had an issue with it because I thought it was a bad mechanic that just made a fun mechanic more tedious. That opinion hasn't changed. But yeah, I like that you used to be... I liked when you could accidentally dig too deeply and greedily. And no, that opinion hasn't changed. Why would it have changed? Remember how earlier I was like, how about this? Read the patch notes sometimes. But yes, mechanic hasn't changed. I liked the old format of digging too deeply and greedily. This is actually an example of why I say that games being more difficult isn't often positive. It was a mechanic that was added because towards the end of Premium being developed and being released, Tarn panicked because he was worried that, well, Zach and Tarn were worried specifically, that people who played a lot of RimWorld wouldn't like Dwarf Fortress because it's not very difficult. So they tried to think of a few things at last minute to make the game harder. They added the cavern creatures, which have been removed because the cavern invasions, because they sucked and were poorly thought out. And then they also added the changes to digging too deeply and greedily. It used to just be a lava spider and you could spire, and you could just dig straight through it and dig too deep very easily accidentally. And I liked that mechanic because it was very easy to accidentally find the circus. Now it's very difficult you have to go out of your fucking way to find the circus. And I don't like that. They also devalued diamonds, which also kind of sucks. I don't mind the little cubes with lava in them made of diamonds. Those are fun. But it's just an unbelievable mechanic in a world full of believable mechanics that doesn't make the game more interesting. I think it actually is a negative on the game. Is the sea drained yet? Well, I obsidianed a bunch of it, and now I'm draining that water out. So, you know. It's a process, a slow process, but it's a process. I mean, this is technically part of the lava sea that I'm digging around in right here. So parts of it are. And as I said, it's a process. But yeah, that's kind of the thought process for me is I don't think that things that make the game harder on their own are often improvements for the game. Yeah, exactly. But to me, that's an example of how RimWorld's existence negatively impacted Dwarf Fortress's existence because of RimWorld's insistence on difficulty and forcing the player to play the game the way the developers want you to play it. Difficulty. Which is why, like, I say this kind of derogatorily, but I don't actually intend it. Or rather, it sounds derogatory when I say it, but I don't intend it to be derogatory, which is RimWorld is a tower defense game. Basically, it's like... It's sort of like if RimWorld is a tower defense game and Dwarf Fortress is a simulation, right? Like, Dwarf Fortress is trying to simulate a believable world with a narrative. RimWorld is trying to challenge the player with, like, strategic situations. I don't think that either of those are necessarily a bad thing. I think that making a strategy game can be incredibly compelling. I mean, some of my favorite games ever made are strategy games, right? You know, Age of Empires, just throwing one out there. So I don't think it's a bad thing to make a strategy game, but that is what RimWorld is. It is a strategy game, first and foremost. Whereas Dwarf Fortress is trying to build a believable world for you to play in and interact with. And while I do think that the Siege update is going to make it into a bit more of a strategy game, hearing Tarn talk about how he's planning to change it and how he's not planning to just make the game harder is a good thing, in my opinion. So, that's all. See, I think that would remove, like, this is where I disagree with some of the community, especially, like, I've seen this a lot more recently. I don't think they should remove dwarves randomly dodging into lava. That is part of the charm. Dwarves are almost lemmings. Like, cannon fodder, in a way. Like, dwarves are bad at self-preservation. I think that's largely the charm of, a large part of the charm of Dwarf Fortress, is that dwarves are just bad at self-preservation. We're about to get hit by ads, so I will pause the game. But I think that, like, if that is a complaint you have with Dwarf Fortress, I think you are missing a lot of the charm and or fun of Dwarf Fortress, right? You have, like, I could lose 30 dwarves right now, and the fort would be fine. Like, it would be totally fine if we lost 30 dwarves right now. There are ways to avoid those problems. Tons of ways. And if you want to avoid those problems, you can. But I think Dwarf Fortress is more interesting because of that. And I also think that, like, you'll learn to appreciate that stuff a little bit more if you play more adventure mode. Like, I think if dwarves are perfect, I think what they should do is make the process of memorializing dwarves more straightforward. Like, I wish they would just filter, like, dwarves that recently died at the top. Like, that's what they should do. Like, not make dwarves smarter. Dwarves being numbskulls is part of what makes them entertaining. So might as well just quick save, because I think I had a request to anyway, and I missed it. If you're trying to survive giant... Well, here's the thing. If you left an open lava pool, that's your fault. Right? The dwarves are going to jump out of the way of that fireball, and if they slip and fall into the lava, that's just life, man. The only way, really, that Dwarf Fortress and RimWorld are similar is you have a colony of critters that you have to keep alive. And you build a base. Aside from that, the games are completely different. Like, on the basic fundamental level, sure, they have some similarities. But really, the reason they get compared all the time is because RimWorld self-promoted itself on the Dwarf Fortress forums and marketed itself as Dwarf Fortress. And then built a completely different game. So I think that if you remove all of the chaos from Dwarf Fortress, it loses a lot of the charm that makes Dwarf Fortress Dwarf Fortress. What I like about Dwarf Fortress is the fact that it's a god game. It's not a strategy game, if that makes sense. You give your dwarves vague suggestions and they might listen if they feel like it. It's the same reason I don't like the civilian alert from DFHack that a lot of people who play this game use. I don't like it. I think the civilian alert is bad. And the reason I think it's bad isn't because I think it makes the game better or worse. It makes it too easy. It makes the dwarves too predictable. I want the dwarves to just be like, nah, I'm gonna go get this pair of socks and ignore this alarm and just go over here and die. Because that's entertaining. If you remove that, then that's entertainment gone. Like, I genuinely believe that letting the game take over a little bit and make things a bit more chaotic is what makes Dwarf Fortress entertaining to me. And is what makes the game consistently fun for me. I think that if you remove that, you're going to miss out on a lot of what makes this game special. At least to me. Like, if you treat them as a little bit more expendable, the dwarves, I think that you get a lot more out of it. And, you know, you can disagree with me if you want and use all the DFHack scripts and plugins to make the game less of that. But I think that the developers working on the game are kind of on that page in that the chaos is part of the appeal. And I do think that that is for Dwarf Fortress's benefit. Very much so. Remove this side and get rid of that. A force of vile darkness has arrived. It's another small raiding party of goblins. Ooh, this is actually a bigger one. Speaking of, let's get these dwarves inside. Okay, you do have a sword. Why are you dizzy? Hey chat, can I get a Vile Force of Darkness? In the Twitch chat. Got a goblin here who came running directly towards us. And dodged a bolt fired by one of my Mark dwarves from up above. I think that people asking for dwarves to not fall and like jump into lava and stuff just haven't realized that moats aren't a dwarven cultural icon and shouldn't be constructed in dwarven fortresses. The goblin jumps over top of the dwarves and immediately gets raffle stomped into a billion pieces. Down here, this dwarf, Feb, is seeing a fight and is in absolute horrified fear as the first goblin falls. The dwarves then clear the fence and give the order to move the rest of them up. Bumrak here, the stressed out, bleeding swords dwarf, continues the brief fighting. We've got Aereth here, who's in a martial trance, dodging through all of the goblins. Come on, chat. I asked for a round of Vile Force of Darkness. Only 2 of you have posted this, and thank you very much to you greatly. Can I get a proper Vile Force of Darkness? YouTube, you can do that too if you are a YouTube member. If you're a YouTube member. Vile Mug of Darkness works too, Bob Trump. I will give you that. Dwarves are dodging in between. Martial Trance stops them from gaining any kind of exhaustion during the fighting. And they go into a martial trance when they fight with 2 or more foes simultaneously. Up here in the middle of the mess, we have Bomrek. Bomrek is still rather green, but dodging many iron arrows very successfully, and is actively slashing at a goblin with an obsidian short sword, which this one bruises them through their leather armor, and also damages the armor a bit. And also slashes the goblin in the arm, which actually tears the muscle. Many goblins are bleeding. This goblin right here also... Did you take any bolts? Not that I'm seeing, but does think that being wounded is very annoying. This goblin is missing their intestines and is probably quite mortified by this. Also, we should check the Goblin Siege, see if that one that we named showed up again. We've got a sacred... Oh, that's a one that's in a cage. Not seeing much in this way. Nope. If that named one did show up, they died already. My dwarves are continuing to fight through the hordes. One of my spear dwarves is... Or one of my other dwarves, I guess, doesn't have ammo. Oh, no, you do. He's deciding to fight in person. I respect it, dwarf. The Sacred Diamond is charging through, slicing them up. Snatchers have arrived to steal our children. I know the Sacred Diamond is teaching those goblins exactly who their true master is. Pieces of goblin flying everywhere. You caught him. Pilot, what up? And the siege falls as quickly as it arrived. It's time for the dwarves to clean up the mess and go back to training with no casualties. As it should be. Draining the lava sea mostly. Pilot. I'll tell you this, they're not bad. Like, having used them a bunch in this fort, as long as you're not fighting heavily armored enemies, they're not bad. If we were actually fighting heavily armored enemies, I'd be having a much worse time. But, you know, not fighting heavily armored enemies, like, they're kind of okay. They're fine. They're not great, but, like, they're fine. As a magma crab nature reserve? I mean, maybe in the area where they are. Because, like, they're all, like, right here. So we could totally preserve this corner as a magma crab nature reserve, although they don't need lava to survive. Although I guess that's like saying that polar bears don't need ice, but they're just happier if they have it. Why are you here, Dwarf? How did you get here? Hold up. How did you get here? Like, genuinely, how did you get here, Dwarf? That is bizarre. You know, get down and out. Also, Lanix the mayor has been re-elected in the early summer. Maybe he just panicked and just kept climbing. Oh, perhaps. I was just kind of amazed that that dwarf got stuck in there somehow. Truly just kind of comedic. Set you down that way. Yeah, there you go. That's funny. If nothing else. The broker, Tosid, the human royal treasurer, has arrived, and they say, on behalf of the Merchants Guild, let me extend my greetings to your people. There's much to discuss. Just gonna ask for wood, because I'm lazy. They want footwear. Okay, well, that's easy. Apparently, we're trading with the humans. They've arrived and are unloading their goods. I'm not using any mods. To answer that question, I'm playing in vanilla, and it's not that I have anything against mods. I just don't really have any interest in the types of mods that people make for this game, at least that I've seen in quite some time. And I do check the workshop and mods with relative frequency, but meh. I just use DF hack, which isn't technically a mod. Nope. Because I don't find any of them to be necessary. Every now and again, I'll use DF hack as like a debugging tool to like check stuff, but no, I don't have any scripts enabled. I don't need the game to play itself for me. I know how to play the game. I'll use it sometimes to figure out why certain things are happening, but that's about it. I don't think that it's as required as many people claim it is. And I think that if you require DF hack to play the game, you don't know how to play the game particularly well. It can be useful if you want to speed things up, but I don't see the point. You were a little surprised by some of the mineral-looking icons, and that's why you asked. It looked like a cross between a coal boulder and a purple flower. I'm not sure which icon you're referring to, but no, this is all vanilla content. Wait, are you talking about, like, down here? I'm trying to figure out what you're talking about right now. You mean like this? Down here? Or... like this? Well, like, what are you talking about exactly? Yeah, so it's like, what are you talking about? Like, specifically, what thing is perplexing you? This? These are diamonds. Are you talking about, like, this? Yeah, no, these are diamonds. Oh, that answers your question. They're just blue diamonds, basically. And that's how blue diamonds look. Yes, correct. Ledrium. Still haven't domesticated wild animals. You just need to catch something in a cage trap and then train them. You got an emu? There were emus everywhere in this fort. This fort was later just... I feel like that's... So this sentence was said in the YouTube chat by Bismuth, they say. The first wild animal that was trained by my dwarves was an emu, and emus were everywhere in the fort. This fort was later destroyed by a goblin siege. I really wish that sentence was... The first wild animal that we trained was emus. There was emus everywhere in the fort. This fort was later destroyed by a rampage of evil emus. I really wish that's how that sentence ended. But oh well, I'm sad. That would have been great. A+ for comedy, but oh well. Also, YouTube folks, don't forget to leave a like on the stream. It's at 76 likes, and there's 92 of you watching. I've had giant emus tamed in my forts before, Stormwolf. Although I'd prefer to go for jabberers, because they're kind of like... Oh, speaking of training stuff. Look at all these grizzly bears. I told these humans to bring me grizzly bears a million years ago and then forgot. Let's see if they'll trade. Yay, they did, even though it was yellow. Excellent. Now we're talking. Dude, jabberers are actually terrifying. I completely agree with that statement. Jabberers are scary as fuck. Training some bears for war? No, they're not. Although playing DF optimally is not essential to playing DF optimally. Playing DF optimally just simply means that you're having fun. So if you're having fun, you're playing DF optimally. You do not need, like, quantum stockpiling to play DF optimally. If you enjoy the game more because you don't stare at big stockpiles, then you're playing the game optimally. Dwarf Fortress is a game to, like, make it... that's designed to make it impossible to play perfectly. And if you try to, then your name is Tekid, and I love you, but you're crazy. And you'd be the first to admit that. So no, they are not. You can. I like to use them for things that are, like, complicated to, like, tuck away and store consistently and quickly. But they're far from necessary. Like, bins and stockpiles are more than efficient. More than sufficient most of the time. Forgotten Beast Dutash Kashi has come. A gigantic quadruped composed of crystal glass. It has wings and it squirms and fidgets. Beware its deadly spit. I will look in on that in a second, but let me just check this. Okay. And then let me just go down here and actually just kerplunk. This one probably can't get to me. The Deceiver of Subtlety. Jesus fucking H Christ. The Forgotten Beast Raka has come. It's here to cause a racket, and it's a feathered hedgehog twisted into humanoid form. It has a bloated body, and its ash gray feathers are fluffed out. Beware its fire. That I will also check in on in a second. But first, just let me go over to here and close this. This one shouldn't be able to get to me. You heard me. It's a Forgotten Beast hedgehog, yes. Can you keep it? No, I forgot it. Also, it breathes fire, so it's eaten a lot of chilies. Maybe toss it into lava or something? Well, next time you see a Forgotten Beast, toss it into lava and let me know how that goes for you.
Howdy, howdy, Greg.
Gloves, it's good to see you. Hope you've been well. Beastie at a Boyer's shop. Chat, can I get a round of beers for tier 2, 31 months from our friend here, Gloves? It can get to us. Maybe. Where is it going? It would have started climbing now if it can. Maybe it can't. Doesn't seem like it can get to us. Well, I'll be on tomorrow, normal time, as in same time as today. And the day after, normal time, as in same time as today. And the day after that, as in same time as today. So as long as you're planning to tune in on same time as today, then yeah, I'll be on. I am pretty consistent about a few specific things. You're in Hawaii, so time zones are fucked? Nah. I'm in Pacific time, so like, I'm only like 3 hours ahead of you. I start at 9 a.m. and I go till like 5. Rock is older than the world? No, rock is older than the history of the world. Surprise, Earth is older than the history of Earth. Also, Earth is older than our calendar. Our calendar's perceptibly pretty young. By all counts. I'll keep doing the thing. I've been doing the thing for 12 years. 11 years? Shit. Probably getting close to 12. November will be close to 12? Or maybe that's starting year 12. I started streaming in 2013, so it's been a long time. I'm old. At least when it comes to streaming. Well, no, I mean, this isn't how long the world has existed. That's how long the world's calendar has existed. Is, I guess, what I'm trying to say. YouTube chat. Yeah, also that. We don't... The thing is, the game just doesn't currently expose the stuff that it will in the future. Prehistory is a very long time planned feature for Dwarf Fort. And one of the things that I am eagerly anticipating. Section of cavern has collapsed. Uh-oh. Oh, shit. You good there, Dwarf? Yeah, just unconscious. A little stunned. A little bit annoyed. Don't do that again. Not the worst cave-in today. Just realized I've kind of screwed up here. What in the shit? How do I keep caving stuff in? Not actually, like, that shouldn't have caved in. Well, I suppose it did, because I got a bunch of injuries, but there's some shenanigans happening there. Oh well. Okay, we got dwarves coming to recover this dwarf. But you should be okay. Did I enjoy my vacation? Yeah, I mean, it actually ended last week, but yes, I had a good vacation, if this is your first time seeing me since. I did, in fact, have a good vacation. Could always be longer, but, you know, I had a good time. I did, in fact, have a good time. How was the concert? Because you went to see Nine Inch Nails, yeah? I've seen a lot of footage of Nine Inch Nails, but I'm kind of reserving myself to never seeing Nine Inch Nails just because of how expensive their shows are. And I do go to a lot of concerts, but I try to go to concerts that are, like, logically affordable. Got platinum bars. Ooh, gems shining. Oh, you want bones. You think? As in, like, you can't remember if you've seen them twice, or you can't quite remember if you did, in fact, see them once? I really like Nine Inch Nails. Nine Inch Nails is a fun group. I don't know if this is an amazing thing, but something I really like about Nine Inch Nails is somehow Trent Reznor isn't a terrible person. Like, listening to his music, like, I feel like the odds weren't in his favor, but somehow he's just, like, kind of just a decent person, and it's kind of, it makes me happy. But Trent Reznor's a good guy. I guess there's just too many people from that era of music and, like, the industrial scene where it's just like, oh, you're just kind of a douche. Just makes me happy that Trent Reznor isn't. Yeah. I have to say, one of the best things I've done in this fort so far is digging all the way down to here and then building this. Because it's sped this process up so much, because they can go way more direct now. Just straight down. It's very quick. It should be fine. ...2008 and probably 2015. Yeah, fair. I've seen Iron Maiden twice. Trying to think of other larger bands I've seen multiple times. Glad to hear that you were wondering why you had not seen me on at all, but it's been hard as I've noticed a lot of others not on, and then I realized a lot are in the middle of moving. Yeah, I was gone because I went on my annual vacation. I go to Montreal for a week, and I got back on Wednesday, basically. Like, I was home on Wednesday, so I streamed on the Thursday last week, and it was a pretty short stream because I was still very jet lagged. And then I, like, took a longer weekend because I needed to get over the jet lag. And thanks to just world events and it being summer, I've just been, like, beat and burnt out and kind of depressed, so I didn't get much done over the weekend. I got a news video out, but that was about it. So, yeah. No, it's just, I've went on vacation, got back, and I've had a slow ramp up to get back to it. But we're going to be streaming 4 days a week, back to the normal schedule now, with one exception. I'm trying to cut the streams back a little bit, make them a bit shorter, because I need to get over this burnout, and this burnout's pretty critical right now, so. I'm trying to think, like, what... I think, honestly, the best laser show, or, like, stage show I've seen, like, just effects and stuff, was probably Muse. We're in an ad break, so I'm just gonna wait for this. But yeah, I think Muse was probably the best laser show. Also a band I don't like very much in retrospect. I think that Black Holes and Revelations is a fucking great album. But everything Uprising Post is like it's one of those albums where, like, context of the era and the things that the band gets up to makes me like them less. I really, really like Black Holes and Revelations. Like, that is one fucking hell of an album. But, like, either that or maybe Amon Amarth, actually. There's something about just a fucking longboat and cannons and catapults on a stage, and then, like, a giant world-ending serpent eating the whole band, and them dueling with the serpent with swords and battle axes. I mean, Iron Maiden's also up there. I mean, shooting a minigun at Eddie is always fun. It's very silly. Very, very silly, yes. But Muse was just a kind of incredible show because, like, they had, like, pianos and shit, like, raising and lowering out of the stage. They had, like, 4 giant elements of the stage that, like, went up and down multiple stories. Like, they were all on cables and flew across the crowd during a song. Like, I don't know, that's pretty dope, actually. Slipknot was also pretty good. Slipknot was also pretty good. Yeah, I've never seen Gorillaz. I've never really been big into Gorillaz, though. There's a couple songs that slap, but it's not something I go out of my way to listen to. All right. The Boyer has created Utalizon, a long persimmon wood crossbow, and offers it to the enjoyable knowledge. So it probably doesn't have a sprite then, eh? No, it doesn't. I'm gonna read this description, and I'm gonna give this to the Captain of the Guard and see if they equip it. This is a long persimmon wood crossbow. All craftsmanship is of the highest quality. It is decorated with persimmon and encircled with bands of platinum on the item. This object menaces with spikes of persimmon wood and horse bone. On the item is an image of ballista arrowheads in dog leather. On the item is an image of pear-cut gems and crystal opal. Uh-oh. You want a clear glass throne? Well, that's not... Actually, do I have Pearl Ash? Although, actually, I would need 3, wouldn't I? We can do that. I mean, that's not a king. It's the mayor who wants it. I feel like that would be a fun show. Sorry, Nicholas. Actually, another really fun show, but more just for like a skill of performance thing. Not necessarily the greatest, craziest effects or anything. King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, probably top 5 shows I've ever been to. And that's as somebody who's been to too many fucking shows. That was a absolutely fucking phenomenal show. Loved every minute of it. Hope they come back, and we'll absolutely go see them again when they do. Okay, so this over here is now done. Can get rid of that. And basically all I need to do is open this sucker up. So let's just jump down into here. And yeah, open this sucker up. Although something else I would like to do. Just go all the way over to there. Oops, that's flooring. I want walls. Okay, so now I just go down to here. Give this a yank. This is actually a bit ballsy here. But this should be fun. Trent Reznor, the metalworker? Not a bard? All right, sweet. I wasn't sure if how much pressure this would have on it. But thankfully, it's nothing crazy. And then this all starts pumping again. I think Trent Reznor should be the high mine. Trent Reznor, the high mine, who is a competent weaponsmith, he disdains even the best advice from associates and family, relying strictly on his own counsel. He is very curious and sometimes to his detriment. He rarely looks on others with lust, and he does not find most jokes humorous. His little time for forgiveness will generally seek retribution. He is rarely jealous and generally acts with a narrow focus on the current activity. He is pleased by his appearance and talents and lives a fast-paced life. He does not have a great aesthetic sensitivity, and he is conflicted by this as he values artwork and its creation. Not much, Fancy Pants. How about yourself? And he tends to be swayed by the emotions of others and has a sense of duty. And he talks to himself when he's annoyed, and he chews his cheek when he's angry, and he needs alcohol to get through the working day and is getting used to tragedy. He dreams of mastering a skill and personally sees guile and cunning as indirect and somewhat worthless, and does not particularly value the truth. He likes petrified wood and green and the color yellow-green. Warhammers and giant armadillos for their thick, bony armor plates. And when possible, prefers to consume white spotted puffer and artichoke wine, and hates purring maggots. Worships cattle and is close friends with the manager and gem setter and a lie maker. Wants to fight and wants martial training. I was going to say it would be great if he has good musical ability, but he's curious. Was it a video game concert? Yeah. I mean, I've seen video game concerts. It's not something I generally prioritize, but it's definitely something I've seen. But yeah, it's certainly not something I go out of my way to prioritize seeing first and foremost. Okay, so this area here is pretty shallow. So a priority here is I want this in here to be able to overflow, but not flood the fort. So I'm going to replace that. And then I'm actually just going to put a door here so that this can be locked and I can reconnect the pumps over here, which is going to happen in a moment probably. Yeah, when this gets constructed. So this is going to get reconnected. Although I am going to need to place a vertical thingy right there. And then this is going to start these pumping again, which is going to go back to draining this side over here on the left. But I need this to not be at risk of overflowing. Like, I don't want it to end the whole fort if it overflows. You're going to see Jesse Wells when he's here in December. The only real big-ish concert I'm going to go see is, I want to say it's November. It could be October. I'm going to see Dragon Force and Dragon Force and Blind Guardian. That's when I'm. No, Dragon Force and Powerwolf, not Blind Guardian. That's when I'm excited to see. That's gonna be a fun show. And this is me being old, but I'm excited because it's seated, so we get to sit. Which, like, some of you might be like, it's not real metal because you're gonna be sitting down. It's like, yeah, but like my legs get sore. I'm old. I've seen Dragon Force before. Dragon Force is always a good time, yeah. Dragon Force is a great time, even. Fucking love Dragon Force. Oh, this needs to be accessible. It's not currently accessible. The other thing I need to do is go up here, the Magma Sea. Metal with defibs available. I feel like most decent venues probably have defibs available already, but yeah, Powerwolf. They're both co-headlining though, so like they both do really long sets. Like legally, yeah, I'm pretty sure most legal venues have defibs available, but defibs and walkers available for rent. Wheelchairs at the door. I've got nothing against withstanding at concerts, but like a show like that, I'm not going to be moshing. I'm just going to have my hands in the air and be singing along. And it's at the Queen Elizabeth Theater, which has no bad seats. So no matter where we end up like having to watch from, we'll have good seats. So like, I don't know. I'm kind of all for it. Like whatever works for me. It'll be fun. That'll be a good show. Yeah, I've seen Dragon Force in several different eras. I saw them when they were terrible. And since then, I've seen them after they got good. Like, there's a lot of bands out there that I've seen where I'm just like, yeah, that's just a bad performance. And unfortunately, Dragon Force was that very much at one point. Thankfully, not so much these days, which is actually really nice. They've gotten a lot better. Because like when you see a lot of concerts, you kind of no, that's illegal. Later on, it is illegal for them to charge you for water. If you're going to a venue that charges for water in Canada, you should report them because that's illegal. They can charge you for a water bottle, but they have to have free cups available. Every venue here, either like if you ask for a bottle of water, yeah, they'll charge you for it. If you go up to the counter and you ask for a cup of water, they legally have to give you a free cup of water. So, not really a concern here. But yeah, I mean, they'll certainly charge you like $11 for a can of beer, but fucking whatever. You don't need that beer. That's an optional benefit of going to a show like that. Certainly not mandatory for enjoyment. Helpful, but not mandatory. I will say, when I feel like I should have gotten at least one complimentary beer when I saw ZZ Top, just because of how fucking terrible that show was. Like, I feel like they should have given us a complimentary beer for tolerating the number of notes that they missed. That was one of the few instances where it's like, nah, man, you owe us a beer for this one. Like, I think they rehearsed Sharp Dressed Man once or twice before that show. Aren't they like 6,000 years old? Well, the two surviving members are like, it's like 71 and 78, I think, because Beard's a little bit younger. But like, okay, as an example, I've seen Iron Maiden several times, right? And like, they're in their mid 60s. They still got it. They still got it. You know, like they still got it. They can absolutely still perform that. The surviving members of ZZ Top should retire. like I honestly, like, it's fine for what it is, but realistically, like, yeah, it's not good. It's just not good. I don't want to collapse this. Oh, I see the problem. Why does channeling those areas leave those little pyramids? Because they are ramps. Dig them down. Just remove them with this tool. Super easy. And I don't know. Ask Tarn. Game was made that way. I can't really give you more information than that, honestly. Speaking of priority number one, let's get these done. Pretty little stalagmites. I don't know. I think they look fine. I think they don't particularly bother me. The better question is, why is this doctor so depressed? That's the real question. Be less depressed, doctor. Actually, no, I can just get rid of that. I just gotta build this thing. There we go. Now we're talking. Get back to proper draining, as it should be. As it should be. Whatever the upcoming feature, I'm looking forward to Tarn fixing bedrooms, because Tarn needs to fix bedrooms. I don't know. Whatever Tarn's working on, which currently is sieges. So sieges, I guess, would be the answer. Whatever Tarn is working on is usually my answer to questions like that. Yeah, whatever Tarn does. Exactly. What's the issue with bedrooms? So Tarn fixed a bug where if a dwarf dies, or if a dwarf leaves the map and then comes back, they get their bedroom unassigned, which is really annoying for pathing because then they have to move all of their clothing and stuff to a new bedroom. Tarn fixed that bug, but then introduced a new bug, and the new bug is pretty simple and also kind of terrifying. The new bug is when a dwarf dies, their bedroom is no longer unassigned, which is great. But the new bug, which is not good, is, yeah, their bedroom is no longer unassigned, but when a dwarf dies, now their bedroom is unassigned. So instead of dwarves, like, getting their bedroom unassigned and then, like, having to have their bedroom reassigned manually, which is annoying, now when a dwarf dies, they maintain the assigned bedroom. So every so often you have to go through and like check every bedroom and make sure that dead dwarves aren't living in them. So right now making bedrooms is like 1,000% harder than it should be. And then Tarn didn't notice it because it took us a couple days to report it, and then got sick for like a month. So he knows now and apparently has fixed it in another branch, but it hasn't gone out in a patch yet. That's the current issue that is with bedrooms. Which is a royal pain in the ass, I should note. You can't believe that Tarn added bedroom exorcisms as a mechanic. It's more like bedroom necromancy. Because you're lazy on checking bedroom assignments, you can hit PopCap on the current embark. Gotcha. Yeah, well, trust me, it's really bad, and it's been in the game for a while now. Like, I probably give Tarn too much credit when it comes to, like, patching stuff, but this one's pretty bad. Like, the other day I said this about it, where it's just like, when a bug starts to irritate me, you know it's bad because I'm way too lenient on, like, Dwarf Fortress bugs. Usually. And trust me, that bug's been irritating the shit out of me recently. Dead bedroom theory. Do you know that people stay assigned to their bedrooms when they die? You know, that's actually probably pretty real to a lot of people's houses. I know it's like a thing that a lot of humans will do when somebody passes away and they just leave their bedroom as is as like a memorial to them. That's like not an uncommon thing, but would be a fun way to theme one for it, but holy fuck, it's annoying to actually like try and manage it. That's what she said later on. I mean, that's what the erectile dysfunction doctor said to her patient. I don't know where to put chat. I'm like thinking about maybe moving it over there for a little bit, seeing how it looks. And feel like cleaning out the room of a dead person, like that will remove their memory. Well, I mean, let people cope with trauma the way people cope with trauma. And if people cope with trauma by not cleaning out somebody's bedroom, hey, that's great. You know, sometimes we just need an excuse to not clean up a place. I mean, oops, that was unintentional and caused that dwarf to fall. Uh-oh, shit. Are you dead? Uh-oh. I may have just splatted a dwarf to death. Maybe not. Ability to stand lost. Lots of deflected. Deflected. Okay, they did, like, pull the muscle in their head. So mostly okay. Their left foot is broken. Okay, so, like, they smashed up their foot pretty bad. That sucks. Okay, also, Mayor wants crutches. Let's just say 3 gold crutches per season. And where is my mayor's... It was throne room, right? There we go. I'll even give you an additional table for it. I know my mom's bedroom was left as is until you hired cleaners to clean the place out. Her boyfriend was weird. I mean, has anybody here played Edith Finch? I can't remember What Remains of Edith Finch? Whatever the full title of that game was, but brain is telling me it's just Edith Finch. Oh, no, wait, hold on. You want a clear glass statue? I misread. My bad. Make ash. Make potash. Make pearl ash. Clear glass statue. Garumbalus. I'm sorry. Mayor. Who's frustrated at the stated demands. Well, we're working on it, okay, bud? Calm down. People always feel like you're showing a property for rent and sale and you're like, oh, someone died here, but like a lot of homes someone died in. I guarantee you someone has died like recently in my apartment building, so. Because there was a unit that went up for sale not super long ago and sold. And about a week before it went up for sale, there was an ambulance outside the building and there was EMTs in that unit. So, and then that unit moved out because we saw that like there was a like moving truck outside. So yeah, no, definitely somebody died like within the last couple months in this building. So, you know, and this ain't a huge apartment building. The only death that's ever happened in an apartment building that I've lived in that's weirded me out though was when there was a dude found dead in his truck in the parking lot of my old building. You know, just vibing, enjoying the summer, and then suddenly there was just like police cars outside of the building, and it was because like we don't know what the cause of death was. It like was never shared, and nobody really knew we knew him, like we'd seen him. He was a younger guy, like mid-30s, just died in his truck. Like he was a contractor of sorts, and like would bring stuff like bring a ladder he had a ladder on the back of his truck, and in order to fit it in and out of the underground parking, he would jump out of his truck and take the ladder off the building, run the ladder into the underground parking, drive in, and then like drive it down with the ladder back on once he was inside because it was too tall. And that's basically all we would wave at him, and that's basically it. And then one day, like, somebody noticed that there was a fucking body in the basement. So yeah, I don't know. Like, people die all the time. So toxic drugs probably. That wouldn't surprise me, but I don't know. I didn't know the guy, so I'm not gonna go making assumptions. But who knows? Could have been any number of things. Oh, shit. So we are getting attacked by a necromancer tower again. This I can't fight. At least not easily. Thankfully, it'll move slowly. Chat room, can I get a Vile Force of Darkness? Please and thank you. If you look at the view count, you can see that it's a quiet day today, so if you can keep that chat moving, I will be very, very appreciative. So if I could get a Vile Force of Darkness, that'd be fantastic. I'd pause during the ad break, but most of the people in the chat right now are subscribed, so just kind of waiting for a drawbridge to close. Or for dwarves to run inside so that I can close a drawbridge. Appreciate you, Ghosty. It is indeed a pretty vile one. Although I do remember one guy that tried to move rigor mortis and kicked in hard, so his body looked like... Thanks! I didn't need that mental image. I'm just gonna not read the rest of that. Thank you. I'm quite happy with this fort. It's a bit laggy because of the stuff that we're doing down below, but... So these are also corpses. Oh my god. These are all zombies. Ay, ay, ay. Well, they're locked out. Love my YouTube videos? Well, thank you. I tend to like them myself. I think the actual way to defend this fortress is to just have a very, very deep underground area that I trap the baddies in and then just flood with lava. Like, really, that's the way to do this. Because I've got so much access to lava. I really should just have something like that. Like, maybe even from, like, right here. Make that too that came over from YouTube. Appreciate you. I mean, I don't really care which platform that you watch on primarily, but it'd be cool if you could watch on both. That's kind of it. For me, really. It's just, if you could watch on both, that'd be cool. So if I go down here... They're not. Well, I could, but the issue isn't... I personally don't think that... uh-oh. Well, that explains a lot. I personally don't think that siege engines are currently viable at all for anything. They can be made to work. They're not viable. So I'm not even going to bother. However, what I'll say is that's why they're getting remade. That's why the siege update is a thing that's being worked on, because they're not viable. And in order for them to be viable, they need some pretty serious mechanical changes. If they were viable, then they wouldn't need serious mechanical changes. Clear glass statue. Let's get this constructed. Sure, Ghosty. Thanks for telling me, otherwise I would never have known. But yeah, the reason siege engines are getting like rebuilt and redesigned as part of the siege update is siege engines have been in the game since 2007 or earlier, 2006. And the game was two-dimensional back then and not 3D, and had a completely different type of stress system. The game now has a stress system and is 3D. Meaning the way they function is designed for a 2D game. So you can sort of like force them into working, but it's really not designed for them to work. They're really not designed to work that way, so they kind of just don't. Hopefully this dwarf now gets a happy thought about their new statue, of which they now has. Let's hope viable is clay pots of holy water versus undead is a thing. Wait, what? I mean, I don't think you need that. I mean, I could totally fight that siege if my dwarves were using steel. Easily. The only reason it's not viable is because I'm not using metal for weapons. So I just have obsidian short swords, and I have to work within that limitation for this fortress, because that's the theme of this fortress. And if you're thinking like, well, why are you doing that? I don't know, because I need limitations to make this game interesting because I played it for too long. That's really the only reason. Sure. So in theory, I could make ballista, but then I would have to make my ballista out of wood, which wouldn't be very effective. For what should be pretty obvious reasons, I think. Arch Matuxka, thank you very much for the 18th month. Check, can I get a round of beers for our friend here, Arch? Armored in steel? Well, okay, so I can't use steel for weapons or armor. So we're using leather armor and wooden shields and obsidian swords, which is fine against basic goblin enemies, but against anything more threatening than that is a bit moot, unfortunately. Or fortunately, depending on your perspective, I guess. But maybe in the next fortress, not in this one, unfortunately. So instead, I'm deciding that it's time for me to make something that's a bit, how do I say it? More designed for the use case. You can't launch dwarves out of a catapult. And if you launch dwarves out of if you get dwarves going fast enough in a minecart to be launched by them, it's more likely to kill them. You also can't have dwarves stationed while in the military for a minecart. So you'd have to use a drawbridge, which is more likely to do more damage to your dwarves than the goblins. I think that the shenanigans that you're talking about are either not possible or I'm misunderstanding what you're talking about. Both of these are a possible thing that could be happening here. Let's see. Oh. I've discovered an unusual volcanic wall studded with gems. Well, that's actually not a good thing. Just have to be cautious about what we dig through here. Why isn't it a good thing? Because it could mean that we were digging directly into hell, but instead we went right past the edge of it, which is fine. I need to be careful about what we're digging into. But shiny, I mean, here's the thing. If I want shiny, there's significantly more exposed shiny right here, which I have chipped away at the edges of, and is also like, you know, nice and situated in the middle of everything and very convenient to go after. And also, speaking of, I should probably get rid of a bunch of this. So, yes, shiny is accurate. However, caution is advised whilst mining the shiny. Because this ocean ain't going to drain itself, and if all the dwarves are dead, it's going to be hard for it to drain. And there are days to tempt clowns, and I'm not positive today is one of those days. Let's see if this goes straight up through the air in other places. So that's good up to here. Well, that's convenient. And then right about there. Basically, fighting the circus is fun and fine. We could do that, but it's all of a preparation thing. We must have proper preparation to go to the circus. All right, that right there. Let's deconstruct that. Well, one, I've done that. Is that why you're saying that, pilot? And two, I don't know. What if? Why not? Sure, you could do that. But that's kind of all I really got. I'm not sure. The forgotten beast Othimu has come, an enormous blob composed of snow. Aw, it's a floof. It has a bloated body and a spiral shell. Well, it is composed of snow. Good luck, critter. It's gonna get melted by anything. Yeah, I have. It was quite some time ago. It was back in the Today in Dwarf Fortress days, so like 2019. I did once, I think it was the Bronze something of Hearts. I can't actually remember what that video was called, but I did something like that at one point. Admittedly, it was quite some time ago. But yeah, I had a fortress that was falling. I can't remember to what. I think it was probably hell. And one of the last things I did in that fort was I told a dwarf to chisel through a wall, which chiseled into the side of an ocean. Circus is so aesthetically boring, though. I really like the color of the circus in ASCII, YouTube chat. Square Dad. The circus is fun. I think defeating circus is more interesting than anything else with the circus, but, you know, we're getting there, you know? We are getting there. We will get to a point where ideally the circus is more interesting. It's not that interesting right now, which is a bit unfortunate, but... That's interesting, because that was damp and now it's no longer damp. Or because that's damp right there. That's weird. Slightly concerned by this, actually. At the very least, this is all draining out now. Surprise aquifer? I don't think this map has an aquifer on it. Also, that would be bizarre to have an aquifer this far down, but I mean, hey, I've seen weirder things. So I guess we should never write off the possibility. It's more likely there's just a lake right there, but... This is adventure mode music, yes. So if you own the adventure mode soundtrack, it throws that soundtrack in with the mix. Okay, so let's do... Yeah, we'll just do it this way. I actually don't know what type of... I'm presuming it's Gabbro, right? Let's just double check. But yeah, no, the music in Vanilla Dwarf Fort is an absolute banger. True facts. Oops, nope, this should just be normally dug. over here. Let's throw more Gabbro down into there. Same with right there. You listen to the soundtrack while it works sometimes? Yeah, there you go. You know, it's a really good soundtrack. One of the best soundtracks I've heard in recent years, honestly. Even the old fan soundtracks are something to write home about as well. Dwarf, I think, just dozed off. Yep. Just fell asleep. Well, this is going to all take a while to construct, so. Something else I'm going to do is I'm going to jump up to here. And right there, I'm just going to throw down a lever. This can get dug out now. When this is done being constructed, I can put a drawbridge in here. This I can also clear out right there, and then I can block this side off. It's going to be kind of a slow descent into death for the enemies, but honestly, I don't know how much I actually care. I don't really care all that much that it's going to take a while to be functional. Is it fair to say that I always listen to the soundtrack while at work, or is that me just being, you know, big streamer energy? I only listen to this soundtrack at work. One could say, it's the soundtrack for my work. You know. The one complaint I do have about the soundtrack, though, is if you have the Adventure Mode DLC, it only plays the Adventure Mode music, which I think is a bit of a shame, because I actually really like the non-Adventure Mode music as well. But I'm not going to complain. I mean, the last one was Beyond the Gates, yes. Now we're in Redlith. Split audio channels or everything? Totally, I could do that. But then I'd have to do that, and you know what I actually do? I just keep the volume so low that, on my end, that, yes, I hear them, but it's very low. And I'd rather hear all of my audio in feedback format and know what you guys are hearing, instead of, like, not hearing the audio and not knowing what you guys are hearing. I actually used to do that a while ago, where, like, I could listen to one thing while chat was listening to something else, and I kind of stopped doing it at a point, because there was a couple of times where it like, was playing something and I didn't realize it. So, I don't know. It's just less to manage. Also, it helps that I like this soundtrack, but that's the main thing, is that I just happen to like the soundtrack a lot. I think like stuff like that is... Aren't there more mods with more music? Of course there are. I mean, you can add in the Simon or classic songs and amongst other things, but like, I don't really see the reason to. I like this one just fine. The only thing I really need is I kind of wish that it would play both of them. But I'm the sort of person who, if I see a problem with a game like this, I will complain about the problem and ask for the problem to be fixed, instead of like, what's the word? And I would complain about the problem and ask them to fix the problem, instead of like just fixing it with mods, because then if it's a problem for me, it was a problem for somebody else. And I'd rather it gets fixed for everybody, instead of like me just fixing it with mods, if that makes any sense. So when it comes to stuff like, oh, you know, the soundtrack's only playing one of the two soundtracks, I honestly think it's better to just complain. because then it'll get fixed. So that'll be for the drawbridges, and this will be lava lever. So once this gets linked, they'll then get rid of it. Let's actually see what route they're taking. I'm kind of curious. I haven't watched one in a while. Yeah, I know, like, and also a lot of people just mute the game and listen to other stuff. Like, I know, what's the word? I know that Deep Space used to do that all the time, or does that all the time. He listens to Lo-Fi Girl and plays Dwarf Fort, which, you know, hey, if you prefer a different type of music, do that. I like to know what you guys are hearing. Welcome back, Grumpy. Your aquifer is a steady 24/7. You cut a channel in the bottom layer of the aquifer to feed it. I mean, your aquifer river is a steady 2 out of 7 channel. You cut more from the aquifer layer to feed it to get more water to cut out more of the bottom of the. To get more water, you have to channel into more of the aquifer. Yes, because light aquifers only put out a small amount of water each tick. So, actually, I think it's a % chance to put out a small amount of water per each tick. So you need to dig more into the aquifer to get more flow. Yes. So yes is the answer to that question. Yes. So chat, what are you playing today? You guys Dwarfing or something else? I'm just kind of amazed by how much that System Shock 2 remake has snuck up. Anything we can do to keep the channel moving, by the way, or the chat moving, it's greatly appreciated this evening. I get it's been a long day. I'm kind of amazed that Geometry Dash has stuck around so much. Well, thanks again for the 5-pack. Grumpy. An additional 5-pack. Jack, can I get a round of beers for the 5-pack of gift subs? You're playing pre-move Panic? How far are you moving? I know that there's several things about like moving that you've talked about over the years, but or over the last couple months, but how far did you end up moving? I think I probably asked you this before too, so I'm sorry. Working on some creative writing tonight. Gotcha. Might I ask if you do be the doodling or do be the writing? What might I ask what you are writing? So this goes all the way up. Still going up. Playing Oblivion Remastered? Veteran? Playing Wandering Village in a minute. How is that game? Was that out of early access yet or still in early access? I really liked that initial release. That game was fun. Although I will never quite get tired of that one person getting super upset and sad that I was, like, doing the thing where you make, like, blood pudding out of whatever the name of the creature is. I was like, well, I mean, it's a balance, right? And they're like, how dare you not be vegan? That's awful, you horrible monster. I'm like, I guess I'm a bad person. Of course she's named Garfield. I love that half of the gameplay of all of the Elder Scrolls franchise is just disturbing people with your fucked up character designs. Oh, Girlfield, sorry. Like, didn't even register. That's pretty terrible. Well done. A+. Speaking of Garfield and Girlfield, I guess. Did you see that Garfield Kart 2 is a thing that's going to come out and release for real? You're now playing DF? Congrats. Dwarf Fortress is sitting in your library currently. Does that mean you're playing it or you're taking a break from it, Duncan? I mean, I'm not going to buy Garfield Kart 2, but what I will tell you is Garfield Kart 1 is frequently like 70 cents. And I have played Garfield Kart 1. Unfortunately, it doesn't have online multiplayer, I don't think. But it's not terrible for like $1. From the makers of Smurfs Kart comes Garfield Kart 2 Extra Lasagna. I actually don't know what they're calling it, but they made 2 of them? Yeah. Okay, you guys can watch this dwarf dig. I will be right back. I'm gonna go take a leak. Bobbity bobbity. Cogsack cam? I think I've finally figured out the lighting for this room. You know, like I moved here kind of a bit ago. I think I've finally figured out the lighting. I'm like kind of happy with my lighting finally. It took way too long, but I think I'm actually there, chat. I think I'm happy with the stream's lighting. You hope nothing happens while he's AFK. I mean, we're already under siege, so like, be hard for things to get worse. Like, truly. It would be a bit of a challenge for things to get worse. So this area is like the last area down here that's draining now. Except for that. So if I could get water like right there. Which is currently coming from right here. I could probably get water to go through here where it's already coming from. Yep. Over to here. And then seal this area off. Or actually, even better. From right there. Over to here. And then to drop down around there. Question is, do they have a way up here? I don't think they do. So we're currently digging right there. I can dig up here. But currently they are just finishing off these stairs. Dwarves don't use minecarts as transportation. But they can jump into them. But they won't use them. They don't consider them a way to get from A to B. You start a DF if you... There are ways for transporting large numbers of boulders or wood at a time. or other materials. Also, Corlan, thank you very much for that brand new Prime sub. Jack, can I get a round of beers for the brand new Prime subscription? And happy to help with the tutorials, dude. I'm glad that they are of use to you, my friend. So they leg it with their leggies? Damn right. If anything, you could say that they're using it as with their leggings. And cheers indeed. But yeah, I'm glad that the tutorials are still useful. The biggest worry I had when I made those is that I would have to remake them in 8 months. But I'm really happy that they're mostly still relevant. Although, like, that's been true for previous eras of Dwarf too. I mean, like, DOS Tactics era of tutorials were still relevant for another quite a long period of time after the fact. That seems bad. I keep managing to, like, cave shit in, and I'm, like, amazed that I did it. So that right there is going to work. They're just going to dig down. Not sure why there's... Oh, I see what happened. Kosoth, the herbalist, is withdrawn from society. There was a thing on top of the door. So I'll just block this off. Actually, I need to do 2 layers of this. And Strange Mood has just claimed a Metalworker's Forge, which is great. So I just need to put a wall piece, like, basically right there. Yeah, I need to put a wall piece like right here. So I can do that by doing this. Except just go down here real quick and get rid of these. Let's also dig out this, and then I'll put a wall piece right there and it'll all be done. And then I can just turn the pump on and I just need to seal this side off, and then we can start sealing this area in, which will allow more of this to drain. I think that's the, that's the only area here that's still filling. Yeah, nothing else is still filling on this side. It's just this sucker. You want to stockpile smoked meat? I feel like I should one of these years get into that game. That game has amused, interested, and fascinated me for a very long time. You play it the same way basically every time. How frequently does that game get updates these days? Because I know it was very infrequent when I last looked into it, but... They also put out another game, like, kind of recently-ish. It's like a colony survival thing, which is also kind of wild that they made a new game. Tibe, thank you very much for the 5-pack. Appreciate you, man. Yeah, Ancient Savo. Yeah, that thing. I almost bought that, but then didn't. That or I did. I can't remember. It was just very cheap, so I was like, maybe. Well, that's slightly annoying, because Dwarf, you picked, like, the worst possible spot. That's a pain in the ass. I'll just get rid of that then. You got it as a gift. Wait, they gave it to you for free for putting it on your wish list, or somebody else gifted it to you? Either way, that's nice of somebody. Oh, I was gonna say that seems like a poor business model, but were you able to get into it at all, or? Gotcha, gotcha. So gift. You haven't started it? Yeah, fair. In a way, I think Ancient Savo actually interests me more than Unreal World. Mostly because I know I have this bad habit of bouncing off of open world survival strategy games, and that's a, you know, colony builder, so it is blind coded. Okay, so this shouldn't power this up. Fingers crossed. I also don't really have a way of draining this. It's ironic that I'm draining the ocean or the lava sea and currently don't really have a way of draining this setup. Actually, what I should really do is just make a pump setup to drain it, right? The sound is loud on startup. That sounds very much like something that a game by those Finnish lads would do. Have completely non-balanced sounds on startup. I love that we live in a world now where download speeds are such that you can just be like, I'm trying to get into this video game, and then 10 seconds later you're playing it if it's a small game. It's a good era to be for video games. It's also like kind of weird to be somebody who plays games in a portion of games where like I kind of don't care that like, well, maybe not don't care. I do care because I care about video games as a whole, but it's weird to be a person who plays games that doesn't really care about the AAA game space at all. Because that's still just the majority of people who play games. And it's really funny seeing people complain about how, you know, there's no games coming out and all this stuff, which is like a complaint I see pretty frequently. It's like, but there's so much. You just don't even know, man. That is wild to me that Hytale was canceled. Really makes me want to read the book on that thing. All of your favorites are indies? Yeah. You share this feeling too? No, totally. I mean, like, anybody here remember when Devolver was the small, weird publisher on the scene? I have this feeling that the current era of like indie game development is just going to lead to there being like 15 more Devolvers. But yeah, Hytale, that's kind of a crazy one, actually. Although I like that they got bought by Riot, right? Like they were working on that thing and like getting near to releasing something, and then they got bought by Riot, and now it's like 7 years later. They don't release anything. It's kind of wild. Kind of wild. Kind of wild. Wasn't even that long ago. What, that Devolver was the small indie game developer on the block? I mean, like, Hotline Miami was quite a while ago at this point, but yeah, no, you're not wrong. In the grand scheme of things, no, it wasn't a very long time ago. But they haven't really been a funky startup in quite some time. Let's just go down into here. They're being worked on. Oh, come on. There's a very real non-zero chance somebody's stuck down there right now, but it's okay. We'll get that cleared out pretty quickly. That was released in 2012. Yeah. Well, it's just like I saw somebody referring to Super Meat Boy as a retro game. So, you know, that's where I'm at right now, you know? Like, oh, wait, Super Meat Boy. Super Meat Boy is a retro game? Yeah. Later on. Yeah. I'm actually kind of amazed that we've never gotten another Hotline Miami. Like, I played that first one and enjoyed it, but it made me kind of motion sick. I never played the sequel. And I'm kind of amazed that they've never made another one. Like, actually kind of amazed. Like, it's something that's genuinely surprised me, I guess. I know that there's two, but they never made another one. Like, there's no mobile one, or like a 3D one, or like a... Like, I don't know. I feel like... Because I know that Cult of the Lamb is like their most selling game by like a pile. By like an order of magnitude. But like it's... Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I had this, oh fuck, I feel old moment today recently when I was watching Formula One in Montreal on my vacation. Because one of the supporting races for Formula One in Montreal was Formula Academy. So that's like one of the junior series, right? And I was looking at the driver profiles on my phone, and it's like, oh, yeah, this lady driving this car was born in 2008. Yeah, that's like, well, shit, fuck, I'm old. Okay, cool. But they're just kids. Literally, they're just kids. Very much correct, Amunga. They can even drive. What's funny is like, there is a Formula One driver right now who's like on the main grid who doesn't have a street license. It's Kimi Antonelli. Does not have a road license. It's like, dude just finished in the top 3 recently. Children will be banned. Yep. Kimi Antonelli is statistically too young to be watching my YouTube channel. Oi. What about Hades? What, thinking that... Did you think that Hades was Devolver? No? I don't think I don't think Supergiant has ever done something published by Devolver. Although they kind of came out of the same, like... era, I guess? It's maybe not the right term to use, but... kind of like that same generation of indie development at the very least. I just... You know, whenever... Just pro tip for anybody watching this stream right now. Whenever I run into somebody who's like being mean to people who write about video games, just remind them that Greg Kasavin worked for GameSpot before he went off and helped found Supergiant. Shout outs to Greg Kasavin. One of the best writers in video games. Let's see if I can get rid of some of this water. I mean, it's actually a little bit difficult, but what I can do is I can start doing this. Took a high school graduation exam last week. Could you imagine, like, racing in Formula 1 and also taking high school classes? Like, he's probably just got a tutor that follows him around, but, like, I can't factor that in my brain. Like, my brain just, like, stalls. It's like, nope, can't do it. But I don't know. I mean, like, it's actually not that far off of, like, professional, like, football players and whatnot. There's a lot of football players and stuff that are only like a couple years older than that, so I guess maybe it's not that crazy, but it seems pretty crazy. Imagine being successful in high school. What I think is great is what was it, in Italy, when they raced in Italy recently, they brought his high school class to like tour the track. Like, because his high school is like a 20-minute drive from the track. It's one of the imagine that being your high school field trip. And I wonder how many of them are like, oh, fuck this guy. Stupid kid. He's got the rich parents. Although if you live in that part of Italy, you probably are not starving for cash. All right, let's go here and pull a lever. Let's pour some water on some lava, shall we? Actually, I've got one more thing I got to do. Just got to place a brick there. Is insanely clunky. You know, you could have just said that you were playing Unreal World and I would have believed you. That's like, most of those games kind of have weird UI problems. But I would like to get into that game. I'm like just very curious about it. That's actually a really fucking cool visual. Just like the obsidian lava flow off in the distance. Cool as hell visual. Yeah, you already know it. Yeah. No, totally. I mean, like, a bad UI is tolerable if you already understand it. There we go. Let's give this lever a pull. There comes the dwarf to give it a pull, which then starts pumping water out. And it goes up here. It's going to take a little bit, but that Savo is currently buried in like a bunch of readout text boxes that makes it the view very claustrophobic. Yeah, no, I mean, that game's ugly as shit. 100%. Could not agree more. Looks ugly as shit. But, you know, programmer art. This is, I guess, the only explanation. It's not an excuse, but it is definitely an explanation. Okay, so we are dumping lava into here. Which is going to take a little bit, but... Or water into this lava. Which is going to take a little bit, but hopefully we'll be able to relatively quickly start sealing off. You thought that was a fly? This mechanism was a fly? Oh, that's incredible. I'm so sorry. I don't even know how it got there, but... Or how long it's been there, even. But it's definitely been there a while. Is it from a bridge I deconstructed? I don't know. This whole area in here has been as is for quite some time, and I haven't made any adjustments or changes to it, so... Dwarf's grabbing some pants. So I'm not sure if this is even going to work. This might actually just be like, nope, got nothing to attach to, and it might just cave in repeatedly. So we'll find out in a sec. It's not even like making obsidian yet. It's just evaporating before it hits it. There it goes. How does this look in ASCII? Let's just watch it for a minute before I check how it will look in ASCII. Yeah, it's literally evaporating before it touches it. Crud. Looks like that. A good pair of cave pants. I mean, cave pants are one of my favorite brands of pants, in fact. They're like land pants. Of course, not to be confused with sky pants. Or sky pantston in the world of tomorrow. So the siege appears to have left. That's kind of crazy. I didn't think they would do that. It's making your brain twitch. Hey, no, it's working. That's what we needed. Hell yeah. It started spreading. I wish I kept watching it, but... It managed to splash some lava up, which then turned into obsidian, which stuck to the ceiling, and now it's flowing out. Exactly the way we want it to. So there will be some anxiety, clicking, but... Check, and I got a round of beers. We've got, or just, you know, another round, or a round of lava and water. Crypt whoosh and crypt lava. We can make that happen, I think. In YouTube chat, Majestic says, the thing that shattered my confidence recently is a girl that I went to university with ran for federal office with a major party and is younger than you. I know somebody who's in the Liberal Party of Canada who lives in Ottawa, who he's an employee, he's not an elected official, but like wants to be an elected official, who I was in Scouts with, and he was a cub. So he was like young, like 8 years younger than me or something. Because hillocks only ever happen when you have nobles. And while, yes, I do have nobles in my forts from time to time, it's not something that's guaranteed to happen every fort. So it's like, I don't know, it's just not something that happens every time. And it's been a while since I've really focused on having a ton of nobles in my forts. So do I do that for any reason in particular? Not really. It's not something that happens every time, so it's not necessarily something that I focus on every single run. That's all. So there really isn't any reason for me not focusing on them. It's just kind of hard to focus on them. Although I don't really know what you mean by focusing in this instance. There isn't too much to do with them if you have them. But, I mean, the last fort I did, I invaded a bunch of stuff and I had settlements tied to my fort. I think there's just not much to do there. Like, I guess you could invite people to come join your fort from those settlements, but that's about it, really. That's about it, really. Is there any reason to mint coins? Projectile weapon? Or, like, very light trade good, but no, not really. I should be minting coins in this fort, actually, because they're made of gold. Because gold coins are fun, but... I've definitely had zoos of nobles. I had a fort not super long ago with like 11 barons in it. I mean, I wouldn't say it's a waste. Like I said, they're very effective projectile weapons. Oh no! Herbalist went berserk. I fucked up a artifact, I guess. Which means they're gonna die pretty soon? Seems like Gutville's killing it. And did. Well, that's a shame. Go, Soth. Oh, it's snowing. I guess I can't bury them because they went berserk. That's unfortunate. Well, I will memorialize them then. Seems like there's two Kosoths that haven't been memorialized, so I'll memorialize both, because why not? So this will go all the way up to this side here. I like making gold furniture. So if you have 250 gold bars, I usually make tables, chairs, chests, cabinets, statues, you know, that sort of stuff. Or in this, I guess, tables and thrones, statues. I mean, coins are a useful trade good. Like, they're not the worst trade good by far. Like, they're significantly better than trading, like, shells or some other garbage. But, like, they're not great as a trade good. Like, I would make crafts or animal traps or something else first before worrying too much about, you know, such things. It begins and continues. While this over here continues to seal. Gem cutting almost exclusively for trade goods. See, I mean, that's about the same as coins, in my opinion, because gold is usually a limited resource on each map, right? Like, you usually don't have unlimited gold. You don't have unlimited gold, right? Same with gems. Gems are also a finite resource. So I would actually say using gems as a trade good and using coins as a trade good is pretty comparable when it comes to like the value of the trade good as a whole. I also just need to get some water over here. So much collapsing. Oh, no, totally. I mean, I like, you're saying that's a waste of gold. I'm saying this is a waste of gems. Like, if you consider trading to be a waste of a material, then all trading is a waste of all materials, I guess. That's all. Like, it's not, neither are really a waste of anything, I guess, is the point I'm trying to make, which I don't know if I'm really making a point, but that's what I'm saying. That is all I'm saying. Why don't I instead do this? I'm just going to channel through this, let all this water out down into here. I'm going to hear a bunch of caving in a moment, probably. Yep, there it goes. Because I'm now draining all of this out. And also draining this out. You like trading stuff you overproduce? I mean, my main trade good is used clothing, you know? Also, speaking of reaching the point in a fort where you're fucking around, mood, that's me in this fort. That's been me in this fort for a little bit now. Figure out which direction they're going to go to get in here. Probably just straight. This side is sealing off relatively quickly, although this is actually not going to get completely sealed off. It's a bit of a shame, actually. Well, I mean, this will, which is good. Last thing on this side of it. Okay, never mind. No, shouldn't. This is bubbling back up again. Gotta be cautious with that. But this side here, actually doing some serious work now. I mean, it is still draining down through there. But if we can actually get this sealed off, then all of this will drain out. Well, okay, not quite all of it. Not up to here. This side here won't drain out. But a lot of it will. Also, I could probably just cave this in. I mean, how many layers is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so this right here, this is a project for tomorrow, I think. Although I only have, what, 2 layers? So I'll have to go even higher. I'll have to go up to here. But that's a project for tomorrow. Seal that off. Because there's so much more we can drain down here. So much more. Oh boy, so much more. So much more. This area over here is clearing out. Especially considering up here, we're only just starting to like dig through it now. We're only just starting to like clear out the actual caverns. One could say that this project is only just beginning. Would I ever play a Fort and Ascan stream? No. And you want to know why? It's hard enough to convince people to watch this game not in ASCII. And while ASCII can make it more entertaining for the hardcore audience in some cases, even for a lot of people who are hardcore, me explaining what I'm looking at constantly does not equal better content. And sorry, I gotta make a living, man. Like, as much as I like doing that, what's funny is that the audience is like 100 times bigger than it was 5 years ago. And I gotta pay my bills, man. It's mostly an audience accessibility thing. Chat room. I've been streaming for 8 hours and 23 minutes. I'm trying to keep the streams under 8 hours, or around 8 hours, just for burnout purposes and not being exhausted. I mean, if you could convince 1,000 people to tune in for Dwarf Fortress, then maybe. But because I need to make a living and pay my internet and my mortgage and my groceries and my medical bills that are higher than my rent was like a decade ago. I have bills that need to be paid. And if I could get 500 viewers or 300 viewers on ASCII, sure. Because then I could still pay my bills. But if I were to stream in ASCII and let's say it cut 30% of my audience down, that's like 30% less income I'm making. And that's kind of a pretty heavy hit. So, I mean, I'm already kind of like, it's summertime, it's the lean season. I'm gonna have, can't eat out much and have to be cautious with my bills. So, no, it's just my medical bills have gone up a lot and I don't have as much coverage because I'm in a higher tax bracket now. So I might actually have to go to private insurance next year because I don't actually think that I will be able to hit my minimum. But no, my insulin diabetic not dying costs is like about $700 a month right now. Which means I'll hit it I'll hit my deductible probably in September, October, maybe August. Yeah, because these are $80, $89 every 10 days before taxes. Insulin is $90 per box, and I need about 2.5 boxes per month. I need needles every 10 to 15 days, and that costs $100 a box, and nothing's covered until I hit my deductible, and then it's 70% covered. So yeah, I just spent $338 like 2 days ago for a month worth of these and insulin. So, and it's way cheaper in Canada too. But YouTube folks, I'm shutting you down now. We'll be playing more of this Fort tomorrow, normal time. Same Dwarf channel, same Dwarf place. And if you like these streams, consider becoming a YouTube member or checking out my blog and supporting me over there, similar to Patreon. Or I do have a Patreon, I just don't update it. You could also, of course, simply share around the videos and tell people to give them a watch, give them a view, or tune into the stream tomorrow. Regardless, thanks YouTube folks for tuning in. We'll see you on the flip side. Do take care of yourself and your forts. Bye, YouTubes.